Okay, today we are going to work on our personal narratives and specifically work on the endings of a personal narrative. So, what I'd like you to do is get out your writing notebook and open up to your table of contents. I'm going to go through this video and not really pause. So, in order for you to catch up with your writing, you can just pause the video. As soon as your writing is caught up, then you can just play it again. So in your table of contents, I'd like you to add, the ending or the entry for table of contents. Okay? So for me, that's page 10. That might be a different page for you. No worries. You can just go ahead and write endings on the page you're on. All right. So what is an ending for a personal narrative? The first thing is, it's not a gift, it's not a present, but it's about wrapping paper. And really, an ending is wrapping your whole story up, okay? And so, an ending for a narrative leaves the reader of your story with some insight or reflection about your story. So you are leaving your reader with your own reflection and your own insight about the story. It also might teach a lesson. Or what you learned. And the most important part is that it gives the reader some closure. And what I mean by closure is your reader at the end of your story goes, oh, okay, so that's what they learned. And that's how the story ends. It's not like all of a sudden you are telling your story and then it goes the end. That doesn't give your reader, any sort of closure. So the end is no longer how we are going to finish our stories, okay? I am going to quickly touch on what does really insight mean. So I'm just going to write that down here. Insight is, why was your story memorable? Why was this story memorable? Why would you write about this? Okay? There's a reason you chose this story, and so we want to know your insight or why you chose this story. There's the bell. So I'm going to move on, and if you need to catch up with your writing, you can go ahead and pause right now to get these notes in your notebook. What I'd like for you to do is get out my story, The Stinky Situation, and you can go ahead and flip it over to the back page, page 2, to the last 2 paragraphs. Okay? I am going to read it aloud. So again, if you need to catch up and get that out of your notebook, you can pause and then get it out of your notebook. The last 2 paragraphs I wrote, Bridget and I sheepishly joined our parents on the sidelines to finish watching our sisters play soccer. I bowed my head, trying not to look at any of the other fans in the eyes. This wasn't even our fault. I'm never going to give Matt the leash again. I looked over at the delinquent puppy, and she was happily chewing on some blades of grass. It took a very long time for our parents to trust Bridget and I to take care of my dog again. Even though we learned the hard way how much responsibility came with playing with and watching Maggie, my friend and I now understood. From there on out, we only asked to play with the puppy when we could give her all of our attention. Now, you got a handout about endings. And so together we're going to complete this based on my story. So whose story? Our very first one, we're going to talk about Miss Y's story. And I want us to think about what lesson did I learn from this story, and what was really my insight, or what closure did I give my reader? So looking at this paragraph, I can see that one piece of information that I'm giving is it took a long time for my parents to trust Bridget and I again to take care of that dog. And even though we learned it the hard way, how much responsibility came with playing with the dog, we finally did understand. And so really the lesson here is that we only asked to play with the puppy when we could give her all of our attention. So one thing I want us to notice is that my ending is 3 sentences. And so the ending here, or the last paragraph, isn't just going to be one quick sentence and then you're done. I wanted to give your reader some closure, and I want you to be telling your reader, what did you learn, or what is the insight that comes from the story? Okay, so let's turn back to this and we can write in what the lesson was that I learned. Playing with puppy means giving all our attention. This does not have to be full sentences, but it has to be an entire thought. So playing with the puppy means giving all our attention. That was a lesson that Bridget and I learned from this story. What I'd like for you to do now, again, if you need to pause to catch up, you can do that. And after you're finished filling that in, I'd like for you to go back to my Google Classroom page. And there is a personal narrative that this person, Alfonso Lacayo, he recorded a personal narrative out loud, and he lives in the Bronx, so that's in New York, and he is a student that goes to a theater school, so he's a really good storyteller. And I really like how he wrapped up his story, his personal narrative story. So I'd like for you to go back to Google Classroom and click on the endings assignment, and then you can watch this YouTube video. When you're finished with that, I want you to link up with a partner that's also finished, and you can fill out the second table about what lesson did Alfonso learn from his story. At the very end, you will then fill out the third box, which says it's your story. And I want you to think about, what lesson did you learn from your narrative that you are writing? If you have any questions, you can ask the substitute, or you can just do your best, and I will be back tomorrow to go over this with you. All right, good luck.